Hi everyone, this is Ricky with Romero Cards, and this video is featuring the brand new card making starter kit by Sweet Stamp Shop. Make sure you head over to their website and sign up for the newsletter to get the latest released updates. So, we're starting off with a card stock that is folded at 5.5 by 4.25. And you're going to go ahead and get this folded and creased really good because we're going to make this into like a pop-up card. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the front panel and we're going to fold that in half, and we're going to use the bone folder just like we did for the main crease and crease this as well. And you'll want to make sure that this crease is really good because this is going to be a feature of the card. So when you hold it up and pull it up, it's going to go up and down like a pop-up card. The next step is we're going to go ahead and stamp onto the card stock here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the little hat with the bunny ears coming out. And we want to make sure that this covers the top panel and the bottom part, but not in between. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys. I'm going to pull out my MISTI here, and we're going to get this lined up so that we can get it stamped out. Basically what I'm trying to do is make this card so that when it pops up, a larger bunny will be on the inside as if it's coming out of the card. You'll see what I mean here soon. So we're going to go ahead and line this up where we need it to be on the card. I'm going to straighten it up. And I'm using my MISTI here because I've actually tried to make this card 3 times and I messed it up each time because I could not get it lined up. You could use the acrylic block if you take your time, but I'm impatient, so why not use the MISTI? So we're going to go ahead and use the Memento black ink here, and we're going to go ahead and get this stamped down. Now this really doesn't have to be perfect the first time because what we're going to do is follow through with this. You really want to make sure that the top portion is the best part that's stamped. And you'll see here in the middle that there's not a complete stamp because there's a layer of paper that's a little taller than the other paper. So basically what I did was I just cleaned off my stamp. We don't really need to see that. I use the chamois to clean those off with. Now we're going to pull the card up, and now we're going to use the bunny that's all the way out of the hat to make this look like the rabbit popped out of the hat when you pull the card up. I'm just going to line this up. You can see my head there. The MISTI really helps with this. Again, you can use an acrylic block. You just have to be a little more careful while you're doing this. I'm going to use the Memento black ink that came within the card. The card kit. And we're going to stamp this over. And we'll make sure that it's a really good stamp before we remove anything away from the MISTI. I'm pressing it down there. Looks like that we got a good stamp, but look there. I have a piece of hair or something that may have touched the paper that printed it out. Basically what I used is a sand eraser to get that out with. I kind of wish I've maybe done this card over, but this is the 5th time. So I used the sand eraser to get the line out. But later on in the video, you'll see that this actually causes an issue while doing some ink blending. So the sand eraser is great for when you have an ink spot and you want to get rid of it. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some Copic Coloring. Now this is sped up to 8 times faster than I actually colored, so I don't want you to feel stressed out that this actually takes a while, that it's really quick. But basically all the colors you see is what I used here. I used the N colors, I think it was N5, N7, and N9. And I colored in the top hat as if it was black. And then I'm using the rim, I'm just using the lightest gray color. The next thing I'm going to do is color in the rabbit. I'm using C0, C2, and C4 to do that. And then the next thing I'm going to color in the ears with R20. I'm going to repeat the process here for the bunny that is standing out of the hat, using the same colors C0, C2, and C4, I think is what I use. Yeah. And I'm just doing some really easy blending. This is not hard. Actually, you could probably just use 2 colors and it would be fine. And then I'm using 2 reds here to color in the cape and the bow tie. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to do some ink blending, and so to cover up this animal, we need to use some masking to cover these up so they don't get messed up by the ink blending. Now I already had these two cut out because I had made this card earlier to make sure everything was working correctly. So I had those cut out, but then I wanted to do an additional stamping set here. So I did actually 2 of these conversation clouds. And then what you're going to see me do here is fussy cut the first one out. I'm not going to show you both of them. It's really boring to watch fussy cutting. With fussy cutting for masking, you want to make sure that you're on the line because you don't want a white halo around your image. And then you also don't want to cut within the line because then the ink blending that you're doing will actually get onto your image. You could also use post-it notes for this instead of masking paper if you don't have that. Next thing I'm going to do is use the Memento Black here, and I'm going to stamp the first conversation cloud, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the second part here. So we have those stamped out. We're going to go ahead and mask those up so that the ink blending that we do will not go into that area. We want those to be like a cloud. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use desert sand. I'm going to use an ink blending tool here. This is like a little brush. You can use a paint or a barber's brush. You can use Tim Holtz blending tools. You can use makeup sponges for this kind of thing. This is what I have available. Now you're going to use this ink, and then what we're going to do is blend that like it's going to be the ground. And I can tell you right now, this takes forever. It's not something that's really quick, so I'm actually skipping ahead. This probably took just the brown part, took about 10 minutes to get this blended. If I used a different tool, maybe like the Tim Holtz blending tool, I could have done this a little easier with the foam, but I decided to use the brushes. The next thing we're going to do is use the pear tart, and we're going to do the ground. And this is the same process. It takes forever to do this, so I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing. It doesn't have to be super dark. It could be as dark as you want it to be. I end up making it not so dark, but just enough that you can see that there's an actual, maybe some grass and some dirt below that. And as you can see here, I'm going back and forth between the colors until it's at an even tone. I will go ahead and finish this up, and then I'm actually going to start on the sky as well. We're going to use Tumble Glass Distress Oxide ink for this, and I'm going to do the same process. I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing, but make sure that you have a piece of paper on the cover here so that you don't get the blue onto the green from the ground. And I'm just going back and forth like I did previously, and I'm going to fill this whole card front up here. The area I'm doing now, the middle, and the top part. And here in a moment, we're just going to skip to the top where it will be completed. This also took a little while to do. This card took me about an hour to make, actually. This is my favorite part, is removing the masking and seeing the colors of the image below. It's kind of like, it's magical. I could have used the sentiment from the set for that. And then here, if you look to the left of the hat, you'll see that there's a little green mark. That's from where I used the sand eraser, so it's a little darker right there. I put 4 dots in the conversation cloud there to make it appear like, oh, what's happening? The bottom here, I'm using the sentiment that says, prepare to be amazed. And I'm going to use my square ruler here that came with the MISTI, or that you can purchase for the MISTI, to make sure that your sentiments are straight. This is what I use every time when I'm trying to get straight sentiments onto my card. I'm going to use that for every sentiment. I have hello in the speech bubble. I have popping by to say hello in the top part there, and then prepare to be amazed at the bottom. I'm using the Memento Black ink here, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that down. I always do a second stamping with this because I want to make sure that the ink is really, it's really dark and it's really crisp. I wiped that off there for a second because I saw a hair that was on the stamp, so I wanted to take that off. And then I'm just going to go ahead and get this stamped again. The card is complete, and in a moment you'll see it in action. Make sure you head over to Sweep Stamp Shop and check out the card making kit, memory making kit, and the planner kit. Also, be sure to follow them on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you soon with another card from Sweet Stamp Shop. Thank you and have a great week. Bye.